Hi there, this is Gary Short with Gibraltar Software. In this video today I'd like to introduce you to a new feature that's shipping with Gibraltar 3.0, and that is the ability to analyze sessions. If we have a look at the tree view over here on the left hand side, we can see that we've got analyze sessions under the user repository. When you click on that, what you get is this nice layout, and we get a pivot chart here, and a pivot grid will appear up here. Before I go on to demonstrate this feature, I'd just like to take a moment to explain to some of our viewers who might not know just exactly what a pivot table is. The easiest way to do that is for us to jump into Excel for a moment. So if we do that, jump into Excel, here you can see I have a data table which shows the region, the make, model, shipping date and units of vehicles which have been shipped on the first of the month for the first quarter of 2011. Now, whilst this table is great for actually storing the data, it doesn't help an analyst actually extract any data from the information. To do that, what the analyst needs to do is to create a pivot table, and I've done so just on this worksheet here. Now you can see the table gives the analyst a lot of summary information, so we can see along the columns here we've got the regions east, north, south, west, and we can see the grand total of cars that were shipped, and we can see that the grand total of Audis that were shipped was 67, BMW 59, Mercedes 68, and the total of all vehicles shipped for the first quarter of 2011 was 194. We can actually drill into this, so we can see by make. If we open up the Audis, we can see the numbers that were shipped by individual models, and if we expand the models, we can see the number that were shipped on the first of the month for each of the quarters. And how we've actually done that is, you can see that in the data table we have make, model and ship date as columns, and what we've done in the pivot table is we have pivoted those make, model and ship date around to be rows, and by doing that this gives us this nice summary information. And that's basically what a pivot table is. In its simplest form, it's simply a case of pivoting column headers around to be rows to enable us to do summary information. So now that we understand what that is, let's jump back into Gibraltar. Now let's have a demonstration of this feature. Let's start off with something fairly straightforward. Let's say of all the information that we've got stored here, we want to view type by application. We want to see that in a bar chart. So what we want to do first of all is to click on this little icon here, scroll up, make sure we've got bar chart selected, finish that off. Okay, now then what we need to do is we need to grab our application here, and we need to pivot that round into the row area like so. We then need to find type from the list, so let's scroll down, grab hold of type and drop that into the column area here, and let's just do something simple for demonstration purposes. We'll just have a quick count, and to do that we just grab the ID and drop that down into the data area like so. Now that we've got this pivot table here, we can see that we have actually pivoted the application round into rows, so we've got rows of application against the type along here in the column. And what we can do now is just select the column to add those to the graph. So here's Windows, and we can add ASP.NET to that, and we can actually add the numbers in here as well if we want to have a look at the actual numbers by just clicking on this icon here. So that's something very simple, very simple demonstration, but you can see the power of this already. Just by dragging a few column headers and dropping them in particular places, we've got this nice graph that we've already built up, and how much easier it is for analysts to actually get a view of the data by looking at this graph than it is by trailing through lots of data. So let's go on now and have a look at something a little bit more complicated. Let's imagine that we want to see our applications now by start date, and we want to see that in an area graph, so we can visually with one look get an idea of the magnitude difference between certain start dates. So to do that, what we want to do is start from a clean sheet. So let's drop these column headers back into the list like so. Let's grab hold of the graph type again, scroll down here, and here we want the area, so let's select that. Now then, we said we wanted to see the applications by start date, so if we scroll down and we find start date, here it is here, and we drop that into the row area like so, and then we take our application like we did before and drop that into the column area, and again let's just go for a simple count, drop that into the ID area, drop the ID into the data area like so. As you can see down here, I'm only showing data for 2012, and how I've done that is to click on this filter icon here, and it opens up a little box here to say, do you want me to show all, or do you want to pick individual elements? And I have turned off the show all, and I've picked just those elements in 2012 just to give us a nicer graph. So that's why that's like so. So let's just click OK for that. And then what we want to do is we want to add information now to our graph. So let's select hub like so. Let's turn off these numbers because it gets a bit untidy after a while, and then select also, just add to that packager, say for example. And here this gives us a visual clue to the difference in magnitude between these two. Without really looking at the numbers, we can see that there are a lot more in hub than there is in packager. So that's another very useful use of graphs, and a very useful example of what can be done with the Analyze Sessions feature. So let's just finish off now by doing something slightly more complex. Let's imagine that we want to graph or want to look at application by version and OS family. So what we'll do first of all is to turn off the filtering. Let's just say we want to show everything, so that's fine. Let's start from a clean sheet, so let's drop all of these things back up into the list, and let's select pie chart because that gives us quite a pleasing graph. Okay, so finish there. Okay, so that's fine. So now what we want to do is we want to grab the OS family, scroll up a little bit, OS family, yep, there it is. So let's just drop that down onto the row like so, and then let's grab up here, let's grab the application, drop that into the column area, and also the version. So if we scroll down a bit, let's grab the version and also put that down there like so. And again, just for demonstration purposes, something simple like a quick count will be nice. So let's grab the ID and drop that down into the data area like so, and that gives us lots of nice information. So now what we want to do is we want to compare and contrast. So let's select Analyst version 2 and version 3 like so, and compare that, say, with the hub. So if we scroll along a little bit and we find hub, we can actually add that to the graph like so. We can add back this information here. Okay, so this now gives us a nice little compare and contrast of Analyst and Hub, and Analyst 2.0 with 3.0, and Hub 2.0 with Hub 3.0, and both Analyst and with Hub. So we're getting a lot of information there visually just by looking at one graph. So that's quite a nice place to finish there with a slightly more complex demonstration of what's possible with the new Analyze Sessions feature that's coming in Gibraltar 3.0. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.